Australia, the lonely continent and the desire to conquer the desert. Australia, a country that monopolizes a vast continent, is a land of fascinating mysteries and contrasts. With an area of 7.7 million km, the sixth largest in the world, the land of kangaroos can contain great dreams, but is only home to 27 million people. The population density of 3.5 people km makes Australia one of the most sparsely populated places on the planet. More than 90% of the population gathers in the vibrant coastal cities such as Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane, leaving the vast inland almost deserted, only echoing the sound of the desert wind. Why is a rich continent so desolate? And what crazy ambitions have been hatched to breathe life into this silent land? Let's embark on a journey to discover Australia, where harsh nature tells fascinating stories. Why is Australia's inland area deserted? 1. Extreme climate, the scorching curse of the Tropic of Cancer. Australia is a land where nature shows its uncompromising power. The Tropic of Cancer, like an invisible line cutting through the center of the continent, turns the interior into a giant furnace, where the sun burns all life. In summer, temperatures can soar to 50 degrees C, making the air seem like it is on fire, while winter is only a milder 18-23 degrees C, with an average annual rainfall of less than 500 millimeters. Nearly a third of Australia's area has turned into a true desert, barren lands where plants and life struggle to survive. Far from the equatorial region flooded with rain and moisture, the interior of Australia is imprisoned by hot, dry air masses from the Tropic of Cancer. The cold Western Australian current, like an invisible wall, sucks moisture from the west coast, while the Great Dividing Range, stretching more than 3,500 kilometers along the east coast, stands tall and blocks any moisture from the sea. The result is a stark contrast. Coastal cities like Darwin receive a whopping 1,832 millimeters of rain each year during the monsoon, but only for a few short months, while the interior is left in an endless drought, like a desert that never wakes. 2. Flat land, the continent without rivers. Australia, the lowest, flattest and oldest continent on Earth, is a land devoid of the breath of great rivers. There are no majestic mountain ranges or magnificent plateaus. The land here is poor in alluvium, like a picture of austere nature. The Great Dividing Range, although stretching more than 3,500 kilometers along the east coast, only reaches a modest height of 2,229 m. Kosciuszko Peak, a dwarf compared to Everest or Kilimanjaro. From here, the great rivers such as the Murray, 2,508 kilometers, and Darling, 1,472 kilometers, flow quietly, but the water is weak, only enough to nourish a small corner of the agricultural area in the Murray-Darling Basin, like fragile veins in the body of the desert. Without mighty rivers like the Amazon or the Nile to irrigate the plains, Australia's interior lacks water and fertile soil, making agriculture and settlement a distant dream. If Antarctica is a cold, icy desert, Australia is a dry, silent desert where nature seems to have closed its doors to humans, leaving behind a vast but lonely land. 3. Immigration history, from Aboriginal spirit to rising colony. 50,000 years ago, the first Aboriginal people set foot on Australia, immersing themselves in the harsh rhythms of the Red Continent. They burned forests to create grasslands, hunted and gathered, living in harmony with nature, but inadvertently contributing to the aridity of the interior. For tens of thousands of years, they were the guardians of the spirit of this land, until the outside world knocked on the door. In the 17th century, European ships sailed across the horizon. The Dutch arrived first, but it was the British who, in 1788, turned Botany Bay into a penal colony, a new and turbulent chapter. The first convicts faced barren land, an unfamiliar climate, and a near collapse of agriculture in despair. It was not until the 19th century, when the British crossed the Great Dividing Range, that a new era began. Vast pastures fed endless flocks of sheep, and glittering gold mines attracted millions of immigrants from around the world. But the light of prosperity cast a shadow over the Aboriginal people. Conflict erupted, and diseases such as smallpox and influenza from Europe swept through, causing the indigenous population to crumble like dust in the wind. Although Australia's population skyrocketed thanks to immigration, people still chose to hug the coast, where fresh water flowed. The soil was fertile, and the climate was milder. The interior, with its red deserts and scorching sun, remained a forgotten land, where only the wind told the stories of the past. 4. Natural disasters. Nature's dance of destruction. Australia is not only a land of sun and sea, but also an arena where nature deals out fierce blows. The summer of 2013, dubbed the Summer of Fury, rewrote history with 123 weather records broken. The average temperature exceeded 39 degrees C for 7 consecutive days, turning the continent into a scorching purgatory. The darkest night, Queensland's skies were unrelenting, with nighttime temperatures not falling below 35 degrees C. Bushfires, Australia's endless nightmare, reached a terrifying peak during the 2019-2020 Black Summer. The ferocious flames burned 243,000 square kilometers, an area larger than the UK, destroyed nearly 10,000 structures and took the lives of 3 billion animals. The smoke from the disaster traveled 11,000 kilometers, darkening the skies over the South Pacific, a warning of the unstoppable power of nature. The El Niño and La Niña phenomena, combined with the Indian Ocean dipole, turned Australia's weather into a chaotic symphony of heat, floods and storms. In 2023, despite careful preparation to reduce the damage, the bushfires still devoured nearly 100,000 square kilometers, leaving indelible scars on the land. But even more terrifying were the heat waves, silent killers, that killed more people than all the storms. Floods, bushfires and cyclones combined. Climate change is breathing life into the fury of nature, making Australia's interior increasingly arid, like a never-ending curse. The inland sea dream, Bradfield's crazy ambition. The Australian interior, the desolate land where the red desert reigns, has long defied human aspirations for settlement. In 1938, engineer John Bradfield, with an imagination beyond his time, came up with a crazy audacious plan to turn Lake Eyre, Australia's largest lake at 9,500 square kilometers, into a lush inland sea, often dried up under the scorching sun. With only 150 millimeters of rain per year, Lake Eyre is like a giant scar in the heart of the continent. Bradfield dreamed of reviving it, turning the desert into an oasis by channeling water from Queensland's rich rivers, the Tully, Herbert, and Burdekin, through a system of pipes, tunnels, dams, and pumps, flowing through the Thomson River, the Cooper River, and finally emptying into Lake Eyre. The glorious vision, climate regeneration, an inland sea would cool the extreme heat, absorb solar radiation, draw clouds and rain, and cover the desert with vibrant vegetation. Nourishing agriculture, fresh water would irrigate 7,800 square kilometers of arid land, turning dead land into fertile fields, preventing erosion and ushering in a new era of agriculture. Abundant energy, the system would generate 370 MW of electricity, or even double that, enough to light thousands of homes. Reshaping settlement, the hinterland would become a promised land, drawing people away from crowded coastal cities, rewriting the Australian population map. Impossible hurdles, the huge price tag. The project would require $20 billion, an unimaginable figure at the time, enough to deter anyone. Dissipating water, the furnace-like temperatures of the interior would cause much of the water to evaporate on its journey of thousands of kilometers before reaching Lake Eyre. Fragile ecosystem, water extraction from Queensland's rivers could deplete coastal fisheries and disrupt the natural balance of the coral reefs. Technological limitations, the 1930s lacked the engineering skills to build a complex water system across the vast desert. Although a dream, Bradfield's plan remained little more than a sketch on paper. Lake Eyre continued to dry up, and inland Australia remained a realm of wind and sand, where nature reigned supreme, defying all human efforts. But the dream, though unfulfilled, was the spark that ignited the desire to transform the silent land into a prosperous oasis. Australia, the red continent of mesmerizing contrasts, is a place where harsh nature tells stories, both fierce and fascinating. From the inland desert burning under the curse of the Tropic of Cancer, to the feeble rivers that cannot awaken the barren land. From the journey of ancient Aboriginal peoples to the waves of immigration that shaped the coast, and the endless battles with natural disasters. Australia is a testament to the indomitable power of man over nature. Bradfield's dream of an inland sea, though only a distant vision, still ignites hope to transform the desert into a land of life. You have walked through the land of sun, wind and mystery. What more do you want to discover about the land of kangaroos? Share to continue the journey.